Like if you live in Wisconsin, how do you get that much back? What do you know anything about it?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so there wasn't that place where you can spend all this money on people to come out.
Yeah. Jamie, can you see if you have audio?
It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Aber ich habe ihn gerade auf stumm geschalten, ne? Also wir können gerade keine Audio haben, ich glaube.
Aber doch, wir haben Audio. Das ist echt auf die Schwöre.
Professor Amer, can you talk so we can test the audio, please?
So this is a presentation about voter turnout this year, 2020, and why it was high, more than historically known.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello.
Aber von was, wo holt er denn dann die Audio her? Das ist also wenn wir die Kamera dann näher haben, dann können wir nicht.
Das passt schon. Also wir haben das letzte Mal auch so was ich gerade mir überlegt habe.
Aber so mehr
So ein Command, dass wir noch eine Seite haben.
Ja, kommt drauf an, wo er halt steht.
Ja, das war stimmt, das steht. Genau. Noch ein bisschen.
Ja.
Sieht gut aus. Man sagt immer so Präsentationsmaßstab.
Can you?
I don't know. Sometimes I like to see what's on the next one, so I can know. Is it better? This one.
Oh, we had that last time. If you go under display settings, I think it's up there. To get rid of that little thing on the right, and then maybe it's not display settings.
No, it should be. Swap? Yeah, that first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's fine. I know, but it's such a relief.
Should we start or after a couple of minutes?
Whenever.
Okay, go
Whatever
there.
they get us, we're all fine too.
So this is the last of the series.
Yep, you're close on that. I wanted to get them all in before Thanksgiving break because I didn't know what things would be like after.
Oh, right, and you know, it's unpredictable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ich hoffe, das bewegt sich doch.
We didn't know it was going to be
Okay, we are ready.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Didn't it go? No,
Also ich sage, wie jetzt der anfangen kann und das ist nicht challenge.
It was what?
in the fall. So it finished in the
Oh, yeah. I think maybe
Amer?
like early
Amer?
December sometime.
Right.
We are ready, and if you may go to that side, kind of where the
Are we good? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, welcome everyone to the sixth and final installation of the Fall Faculty Series. Before I forget, for those of you live streaming, you can type in questions or comments into the comment section, and then we'll read it out loud here. So you can do that as the presentation is going, or you can wait till the end. All right, so our last presenter is Dr. Ayman Amer. He's a professor of economics and management and teaches some master's level classes as well. He was a little brief personal history, born in Cairo, Egypt, lived and worked in Kuwait for a while, came to the United States in the 1980s for grad school, and has been with Melbourne for 20 years now, for 19 and a half, 20 years. So his presentation will be on voter turnout and the non-voter population. Just a quick personal note to emphasize, Amer has never voted for it in the United States because from what I sound like the elections were more or less pretty predetermined. And so he takes voting very seriously, as we all should. So, Dr. Amer, thank you. Take it away.
Hello, I thought this subject would be interesting today since we have this kind of intense, controversial kind of election. Even though we thought about the subject almost like a year ago, we didn't know that it was going to be controversial or such level of intensity. But I think it's a good subject. It was amazing to me. It's amazing to me that when they say that this turnout did not happen for 100 or more than 120 years. I thought to myself, what brought people out in 1900 or 1910 or 1920? That's amazing to me. And I thought, I was just talking, that I thought the intensity of that vote would be probably, as a historical review, if you think about it, would be during Barack Obama's election, 2008, because that was a turning point. But this one is, the turnout here, this year, is more than it was in 2008. So I thought, let me see who's voting, who's not voting. When I started thinking about it, I thought, why do we have, compared to other nations, somewhat low turnout? If you look at Europe, some of the European countries have 80, 90% of registered voters vote. 80, 90, 75. Most of Western Europe, Canada, Australia have higher turnout than the US historically. Even this time as we are talking about turnout being very high, I think it's about 65 or 66%. So it's not really relative to the rest of the world, it's not very high. But to the US history, it is high. So therefore, I have all these questions in my mind to look up and see what's going on, what did happen. So let's see. I think these are the things that I thought after reading some of the research, the literature. Education, age, traditionally more educated people would vote. Older in age. I remember even myself when I go, I would find very few people in the voting place, and I would probably be the youngest one. And yes, people who are voting and people who are running the place, the committee that does help people in voting, are also older people. But the thing is, so age is a big deal. So in the previous election, even this time, a good percent of the older you get, the more likely you are to vote at this time. And historically as well. Intensity of party, that's what I mean. When I say intensity, I mean, you have a strong desire to support your party. And this happened this time. It's not all of the traditional reasons, but it is the intensity. I want to, this is my time. I have to go. You see what I mean? Like people may not have voted last time or the one before that, but they will do this time because the identity, they identify with the party or with President Trump, especially. Identify, like personally. And that is the way that President Trump actually, how do you call this, used that as a tactic. The intensity of people's feeling about voting. I think President Trump never had a majority of the vote since 2015, 2016. But the intensity, meaning if he has 40-something%, all of them, or great majority of them, will go vote. But on the other side, you will have people loyal to the Democratic Party, but they are not so much associated with it, identified with it, not so much. So that's what I mean. That's a tactic. That reminds me of Barack Obama again, because 2008, Barack Obama got About 40% of the white, only 40% of the white vote, 40%. But you know what percent of the black vote, of course, all Barack Obama was about 95, 96. So that tipped the balance. So you could have a lot of supporters, but they don't go. You see, or you have few supporters, but they are really intense, meaning enthusiastic about the vote. So that's what intensity. Polarization, that's another reason. There is the gap between the ideology, the two ideologies. Gender, I will show you gender now. Women always, or for a long time, have, in the last 20, 30 years, voted more than men. Availability of time. Now when I say this, we vote on Tuesday, it's a work day, people are busy, people have children, single parents, people have children, they have something to do in their home and their job. In many other countries, the day is off or there's time off to go to vote. But here not. Not so you have to find the time. With the expectation that you are going to stand in line, that makes it even harder. Even if I was going to vote now, how long? And how long I will be standing in the line, and I have the children with me, or one of them with me, or two of them with me, into the voting place. So that makes it hard. So the availability of time, distance to the, again, I voted myself on a place at Bloomsbury. You have to drive a long drive, somewhat long drive, to get to the voting place. That means you have to have a car, you have to have somebody to take you if you are older, if you're not driving. If most of the voters are older, then they may not drive. All of this. So this is all. So there are things that depresses the people that vote, and there are things that encourage it. So I'm trying to say which of these helped and which of this didn't help. Distance to the voting attitudes. I see in some of the literature the people about 1960s, because of the civil rights movement, had a moral obligation to do. Feel that this is part of their moral system. I have to participate. I have to say what I have to say. I have to contribute to this discussion. But I think this is, by measurements available again in the literature, is less now. People don't feel as much morally obligated to vote, especially younger. They don't think but this is a big deal. If it's moral obligation because of your church or ideology or belief, whatever it is. Moral obligation. Financial distress. I will show you, I think I have some of this now. There are people in places that got hit with the COVID or the recession did not vote as high as places that were kind of doing okay. Financial, economic. Anger, that's related to that, polarization and intensity. Anger, there is a theory in political science, because the theory, the angry voter hypothesis, that brings people out. They think it worked this time. Who is polarized? The question of who's polarized is different, because when the media presents this, they talk about people are so polarized. But in fact, a lot of the suggestion is that people are not divided. Most people believe about or close to each other in terms of the principles, the ideas, the policies. But it is the political elite that is divided, such as Congress, Senate, are really for the House, the media. I really far, like this. The distance between them is farther than between you and me. So the idea of polarization, I don't accept it completely. It is possible that the political class, as you can say, political class, are more divided than normal people. And they gave us that impression, but it may not be true. We have the same, not the same, we have the preferences and choices, but not as really far as the media presents. Campaign spending, of course, money. We're just talking about money and how it affected the vote turnout. Impact of social media, income level. Social media, I think a lot of people suggest in communication and these areas that social media make people choose their media. So you can choose your Facebook, and Facebook, not only Facebook accepts your choices, but Facebook reinforces your choices. So then they give you the news feed that is what kind of consistent with what you're thinking. So not only that you choose your preferences, but that is deepened by Facebook and Twitter and several other platforms. That makes it worse, not better. Meaning we are not talking to each other, we're talking to people of our own type of thinking. Income level, again, income level traditionally, the middle income, the upper middle income voted, less so the lower middle income and the working class. So that would be income as a cause for people to go and vote or not. This is kind of an example of that. This is how race, white, college, not college graduate, correlation between your identity as one of your being one of those groups and your voting. This is men and women, as I just said. Women, starts in 1980, 2016, 63% of women registered voters voted this time. Oh, no, 16, and 59% of men of registered voters. So, because when we started this series, we started it because to kind of celebrate when the right was given to women before. So this is really fantastic. See that. This is, I said, income. So there is the intensity that I was talking about. This is the percent of people who voted in 2016, and this is their income in thousands of US dollars. So, can you see the darker color? It's clear that this 150,000 income earner family, right, voted much heavier than those that earn 5,000, 10,000, 15%, right? The color represents the intensity of the turnout. So it's obvious, and I tell people, lower income mostly in the past did not vote. Or very small tiny minority of them voted. This time it may be a little different, but this is the exception so far, not the rule. So income. So we looked at gender, and then we looked at income, and then we looked at house. Okay, so I said renters and people who own their home and the people who rent. Now again, you can see the same pattern, can't you? Unpaid house bill, paid renters, owners, this is what those struggling with housing costs are least likely to vote. So who has unpaid, this is renters, this is the percent of the what, of those, among these groups that voted. So 87% versus 68 of renters. 87 of those homeowners versus renters. Homeowners versus renters. I made the point about if you own your own house, you're more likely to vote. This is the states that voted heavy. Now this is amazing, because you know what the states that voted heavy? I forgot. This is Wisconsin. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and Arizona. Now, do you know what? I think I figured it. This is the places where the campaigns spent few days at the end, very much in 24 hours in these 4 or 5 states. And they spent so much money to bring people up. We were just talking before this about where the money comes from, but that's a totally different way. where the money comes from, but they spend so much money to bring people out, especially in these states. So now it doesn't surprise me that Wisconsin and Minnesota and Florida voted a lot more turnout than other states. I mean, it's almost largely a result of that money spent and time spent by the campaign. So why didn't it happen so? In Iowa, it was somewhat higher and so on in all of these places, Pennsylvania. But obviously, it's a result of the intense campaign, money-wise, as you were talking about before this, is that they bombarded the media with commercials. They bombarded people on my phone, on my cell phone, text messages, emails, phone calls, as happened with every one of you. And so, I mean to say, can you make the correlation? And I always have the question in my mind about, is it really the vote that counts, or is it really the money that is spent? I mean, obviously, the vote is a result of the money spent, or part of it, not completely, but a big chunk. Part of it of the money spent. So you have to expect that Wisconsin and and Florida and Georgia and Pennsylvania. You see what I mean? Because why this is what we call flippable state or something. Flippable meaning it's usually Republican, but it's likely it can be flipped, or it's usually Democratic, it can be flipped. When you are one of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then you think it's flippable. In both campaigns will push really hard on these parts, not the rest of the 50 states, not as much. So again, this is the result of the money and the time spent by the campaign. It doesn't mean people don't care. But all of these things that I mentioned about, I don't have a day off, I don't have time off, I don't have somebody to take care of my children, and all of that is in play. But when you push harder as such, with that much pressure from the media, and from your phone, and your Facebook account, and your TV, and everything else, then you go, because you get riled up, full of energy, enthusiastic about you go out and vote. And this is it. Look at this. This is campaign spending. Political and spending estimated projections in billions. 2020. This is before what it was done, of course. But here is, I think this is 3 billion, and this is 1.5, and this is 1. This is 2020. Now, notice that all sorts of media have increased in spending. Obviously, I mean, you would expect. Look, 2014, 2016, 2018, 2018 Congress, what do you call it, the midterm election. 2020, look at the blue, where it's going. Look at the other one here, the light blue. Look at the green. All of them are going up. We spend, so if you add these 3.2 and 1.6, 4.6, 5 point something billion dollars. 5 point something billion dollars spent in this. This is, I mean, considering the stakes, the Congress and the Senate and the President, it's a big deal, but also consider the impact of money in the process and how much the process costs increase. Like this, I don't know what model you can do, but you can expect this to go like if the system continues to be what it is. So when I go back to this, remember now, this is largely because of this. Largely because of the push. The people in Wisconsin did not wake up and become more involved, correct? People in Iowa did not wake up and become. No, it's that push. Right? It doesn't mean that people are not interested. They have opinions, they have their preferences, but it means that this campaign pushed them really hard to go. So now when I say it's relative, it's high relative to the U.S. history, and the last time this happened was 1900 or 1880s or 1870s or something. But however, when I say the US, among other nations, is not too high. Look, this is the turnout average 55. What? Belgium, Sweden, South Korea, Israel, New Zealand, Germany, France, all of these. 87, 82. I saw one before that was Turkey. Turkey was like 89, 90% voter turnout. And Turkey's vote was very close like that. 50, 50, 51, 49, like that. So, but the system did not deter people though. But I will show you now, like I'm talking about two different populations, the ones who voted and the ones who didn't, and why. So there, when we say again, this was historically high, it was relatively historically high, because there was more than that in 1840s and 1850s when the issue was slavery and abolition. Or when the issue was women. And all of these issues were big deal. Or, you know, during the civil, I don't know if the civil rights was part of it. Civil rights 1960s was a big deal. People went out and voted. African Americans or women, all of this. But no, compared to other nations, it's not high. It's not high. When we say 65, then now this was 2016, the United States 65. I think it was, this year was 65, 64, 65, 66. Now, that means more than 1/3 of the registered voters did not vote. That's not a good thing. That's what I wrote on that card of this event today. What about these 1/3 or more than 1/3? What about these 35 or so percent of the population who did not come? And what about them in 2018 and in 2016 and in 2012 and so on? Why? Like I said, I thought Barack Obama would be the thing that broke all of that. He didn't. That's 2008. It wasn't as high as this time. So voter suppression effort. So now there have been state governments that try to suppress the vote. People, they discourage people. These are some of the things. Separation of the automatic registration of driver's license. I'm not sure how many states do that. But when you register to have your driver's license, you should have your voter ID. Hundreds of thousands were purged from registration in at least 8 states. I saw the numbers, and some states purged off the records. People say these people died, somebody is not here. Some states actually issued a law that if you missed the last 2 elections, you're purged out automatically. Your name is not in the registration. You can't vote. And if you consider what I'm saying, that a lot of people don't vote, so that if you miss 2 cycles, you're going to be kicked out of the registration. Real ID. Now, when I got my new driver's license in Iowa, they said this is good for only this much because there was no interview on that driver's license. But the thing is, it's harder to prove your ID. Not in Iowa maybe, but in some other. Today I was just listening to things about the signatures in Georgia. Signatures. You have to have a signature on the card, the registration card, the same as the one you put in when you actually vote. Well, people say, we don't sign the same. I have the different signatures every day. When I sign my courses and all of that. It's different. I mean, you do it, it evolves, it changes, all of that. So this is a kind of a technicality that kind of discourages people. Distance of, or to throw away votes, actually. So that's the thing about the signature, closing off of hundreds of voting places. You saw the lines on TV in some states. That's because in one county in Georgia or Texas, there was one for the whole county. One place for the whole county. Here there is many, so it was not too bad. Distance, how far you have to go. Narrow down the vote by mail. Again, the suspicions raised about mail, this is not real, you voted twice, how do we know that this is you, all of that. It's because it's by mail. Actually, the post office, with this new administration of the post office, they pulled off the mail boxes. Pulled it off. I mean, I used to have one every time I have something to send, right? Now they took it off. So in many places around the nation, they took off. I don't know what the reason. I have no idea. Maybe it has to do with the labor of collecting the mail, of the workers who have to collect the mail from the boxes. But that's the only reasonable thing I can think of. But why why is this mail is that people pay their bills, people do all kinds of things by mail. So this is, it sounds like it was so close to the election that it's related to the mailbox. The electors, we're still talking about it, how do you call it, the electoral college, district mapping, the mapping. The candidates choose their voters, not the other way. Which means that you know, Iowa is not too bad. But you look at other states, I think Illinois or maybe Michigan, if you look at the maps of the districts, it is designed to be, say, quote unquote, this is a Democrat district, this is a Republican. But this is a Republican, so that the seat is not contested. When the majority of voters in the district are, quote unquote, not great majority, leave them alone but put them in this district. And so that's why the map will look so funny, because it goes like this and it goes like, doesn't have a geometric shape. So this were done by not independent people who draw the map. These are either the Democrats or Republicans who won the election in that particular state, who divide these lines. It used to be, and in other countries, in Europe, this is done by completely people apolitical, independent. But now this is done particularly to make this area Democrat and this area Republican, and there is no contest. There's no real actual elections, because it's almost done like the one we mentioned in the beginning about Egypt, like the beforehand. So that's why these few states on the map that we saw were flippable. But these are 5 or 6 states out of what? The 50 states. So again, the maps are crazy because they don't mix or give a chance for any competition. Now Tuesdays, we said we vote on Tuesdays. I don't understand. I really looked for it. I didn't know the reason why we vote on Tuesday. Why is it Saturday or Friday or something? No real contest. Two-party systems, they don't allow a third party. We'll have better system if we allow number 3 and number 4. There is a math theory, they call game theory, in which a monopoly or a oligopoly do what? To work together, fix the price, and then when they work together, like the oil cartel, OPEC. What do? They are many producers, but they get together to fix, quote unquote, the price. So the cartel of 12 countries act as what? As a monopoly. Therefore, this idea, same idea, which is the two parties don't agree. They agree on everything except one, which is we're not going to let in a third part. They disagree on everything they are selling, except no for a third part. The phenomenon of Bernie Sanders came from the outsider, the independent. The phenomenon of Trump himself. He was not such a strong Republican. He was Democrat in the past. But what I mean is that outsider is not allowed in. Either it's Sanders or Trump, in either way, is not going to be allowed in except through these 2 channels. There is no 3 channels. That's it. This is very hard to break into the system. What they call it, economics, blocked entry. Blocked or entry barriers. It's very hard. So the 2 players block the entry. 2 evil, I make fun of it. The lessons of 2 evil, the evil of 2 lessons. Why do people say that? Why does it have to be evil? Why can't we pick a good people, a good person? I don't know. Does it have to be evil? But anyhow, this is the choices we have. One other thing I didn't mention. You know why this happens? Also because, when I said 65% turnout in the election, do you know how many people turned out in the primaries, which actually produced Joe Biden and Trump? The primary, which is the thing that happens at the state level, at the party level, Democrat by itself, Republican by itself, the Democrats choose The leader in Iowa was not Biden, I don't remember. I forgot. But the thing is, do you know how many people turned out in that? Maybe between 10 and 20% of the voters. So when you say we don't have good choices, it's because 90 or 85% didn't go in the primary. They didn't pick. So the lesser of two evils is only a result of the low turnout in the primary, which is at the party level, Democrat and Republican. So that's what I mean. The lesser of two evils. Theory proposition. I said the disenfranchised voter, again, a lot of this group came out this time, part of the reason why it's relatively high. The pendulum theory, which is that the election of Trump was only a reaction to the election of Barack Obama. So the pendulum goes to the other side. Right? So this is like public mood of some sort. The mood will switch back and forth, which is a good thing in a way, so that one party does not get control forever. Angry voter, yes, you exploit people's anger to help the winner, but it harms the system. Why does it harm the system? Because when you see such a claim of it's not fair, right? It's not fair, then people will think, you cheated, then next time I'll cheat. Then it's okay to cheat. So yes, you can win this time in the short term, right? But the system itself will lose its credibility in the long term. Did you see what I mean? So this angry voter, yes, people can exploit it in the short term and win and take the office. But no, it's not good in the long term, because they will think everything cheating is allowed. It's fair to cheat since you cheated last time. Mistrust in democracy. More than 40% of the American public, even that's very high. 40% of the American public mistrust democracy. We said democracy is not necessarily. Now, after this controversy, this number could go up by saying, well, it's not working. We got cheated. Mistrust in government, 62, more than 62% of the American public. Mistrust the government, mistrust the democracy, mistrust the media. It's funny, the narrative is mutually exclusive. Narrative is that you talk to conservatives, they will tell you the media is so liberal. And you talk to liberals, they will tell you what? The media is so conservative. Of course, they're talking about different outlets. Talk show on the radio, Rush Limbaugh on there, MSNBC on this side. You know what I mean? So yeah, they're talking about two different things, but the mistrust, the media did not help this situation. Of course, the media also polarized. But the thing is, through what channel are you going to get your information? If Facebook is polarizing and Twitter is polarizing and CNN is polarizing and New York Times is polarizing, where are you going to go? Right? So that becomes a difficult task for a voter who doesn't have time to know what about what. This is. So that's the pendulum, that's the mistrust, all of this. All of these are problems that we have, we need to look at. This is voter attitudes about Trump, about Clinton, that's 2016. About women, about guns, about all of this. What this is used as a measure of, you take the variance between strongly agree, strongly disagree, between strongly agree of the Republicans and the Democrats. The difference, the variation, is a measure of polarization. Political scientists developed a measure of polarization based on the difference between the numbers of the support for this issue or that issue. These are the size of. So now that was 2016, now this is 2020. These are the issues that people are really far in their opinion about. Pandemic, today they're talking about mask, yes, no, all of that. Mask, we have a string, how do you call it? We have an independence. American public have an independence kind of mind, meaning I don't listen to the government. Not Republican government, anybody, I'm not going to listen to it. I don't want to listen to the government. Right? Nobody can tell me what to do. This is a street in the culture. That's difficult to change. So we differ about the pandemic. No government will tell you to wear a mask, for example. The economy. Well, Trump did a great job. Biden will do a terrible job. This is variation in the opinion. That's the polarization I'm talking about. So if you want to measure how polarized you are, ask people from both sides these questions. See what they think. Right? You will find that the distance is very, very big. Racial justice, healthcare, Congress, the judiciary, abortion, all of these are controversial issues. We have structural flaws. I'm almost done. In 2 minutes. Few spots are contested, as I explained why, right? That the districting. Primary voter turnout, I told you, is 15, 20, at the most 22, 21, 20. Misinformation, disinformation, polarization, and the voters' moral obligation. I said, voters in this country, in other countries they do think it's a moral obligation. Here they don't. Or many people say, you know, the system is the system, nothing will vote, my vote will not change much. No credibility to the system, give us the ballot. This is the book actually for you. People in political science suggest tribalism, will vote like a tribe. Democrats are Democrats, no matter what the Democrats say, if they agree or not with the idea, it doesn't matter. They're Democrats like me. Same thing with the Republicans. We vote like a tribe. All of this is theoretical. Redistricting, I said, independently. This is the things we went through this year. New York Times during the lockdown is a great book about New York during the lockdown. It's amazing how if you saw New York, that is such an amazing contrast of how New York looks like. Look at that. This is Times Square, I think. This is, we went through what I mean to say, we went through 3 mega events this year. First one was the COVID. And then was this, during the summer or so, August, the George Floyd and the protest, Black Lives Matter, all of that. Then we went through the election. These could have taken normal times, could have taken 10 years to happen, but these 3 things happened in the same year. So we are really, it's difficult to think clearly about this. That's why I try to tell you guys this, because it makes you think. Not about who won or who lost, no. But in the long term, where is it going? That's why that I want to end with this one. That is, well, okay, in social sciences we have people, like I said, tribalism and all that. People identify themselves, or my identity is to belong to one of those nationality, American, African American, Hispanic American, race, religion, gender, class, political affiliation. And the good thing about it is that people identify first as the top 4. Meaning religion, gender, race, and nationality. But the last 2 are tied in terms of how people feel identified with this. They are identified, but it's not a priority. So I identify as this party, but it's not the biggest deal to me. You follow? The biggest deal is the other 4. Gender, race, nationality, and such. So what's good news is we are not so far from each other. We have the identity, yes, the identity question we have to identify, but this is not a top priority in terms of our identity. This party. It could very well be affected by all this money that's being spent to convince you this way or that. So that's all that I have. I think thank you. All right, so yes.
Speaking of voter turnout, I'm intrigued because you were talking about redistricting, and I think you referred to, I think you even commented that sometimes people say my vote won't count, right? And so I think there's a corollary just kind of seeing that whole idea of redistricting
Right?
and this whole, like, you
Yeah,
know,
if I'm a Republican in a Republican district, whether I go or not, it's not going to change anything.
right, absolutely. You know, and so it's interesting to see whether or not that would change or not change over time. But I think part of our low turnout has to do with that whole idea. I mean, I do know that I think both, you know, Congress is definitely looking at the new census. Because, you know, I think it's already, they're already starting to talk about.
Iowa lost that seat, didn't Iowa? The state of Iowa lost one seat in Congress, in the House, right?
I think
Because
so.
of the population, right?
Right.
So no, but I think as I explained this game idea that the two oligopolies will work together, will disagree on everything except this one. They are now going to change the rules because by these rules they got into office. You will be scared to change the rule if you are in office. Say, leave it alone. I'm good. You know, do you think? I mean, I don't.
So do you know, and this is something that I'm not certain of, because this whole idea of the two-party system. So I know with the last presidential election, there was big talk by the Libertarian Party about how the rules had changed. When Ross Perot was there, he was able to participate.
80 something and they crushed it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was right after that election, and so.
I remember that day. I was watching Perot in the debate, and tomorrow, the next day, he's not allowed in the next debate. Why? Because he got so much out of this open discussion. He got some 20-something% of the vote, and that was too dangerous for the other team.
Right.
So you're right, that was an attempt, but it was 40 years ago or something, 30-something years ago. You see that? No, maybe 30 years ago. But still, this is hard to, can somebody try that now? I doubt it. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
No, there are no questions on YouTube.
Okay.
I do have a question though. The DNC and RNC are like financial powerhouses. What do you think it would take to create a third party?
As Joe was saying, that it's hard. It's hard to get, you have to get the people in the office to agree to change the rules that got them into office. It's really hard. It would take a very strong people's movement. You know what I mean? It has to break out of this too. But even myself, I thought to myself, I can't have a voice if I don't belong to one of these two. That's exactly what Bernie Sanders did, exactly what Trump did. You have to go through this too. That's it. Now, as long as we have this, it's not going to change. Well, we will have this because obviously, like I said, people are in office already. I don't want to change the rules. You see? It will break a very powerful movement. Grassroots.
And Bernie had that twice.
Yeah.
But the DNC basically.
I think Bernie could have the power that Joe was talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of, he could have established a third group. But I think he decided not to.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I think he was looking at, if I were to guess,
Yeah.
I would guess Bernie was looking at if I went on my own
Yeah.
versus trying to use the powerhouse of the DNC. DNC had money. I think he was looking at which uphill battle was less, and I think sticking with party lines was
But
less.
I do think, don't you think, that he had this power at some point, at one moment or other moment?
Yeah. Well, you know, well, I think it's interesting because if you look at Bill Weld, who was the third-party candidate at the last election,
Right.
and then he decided he couldn't do much because he couldn't debate, and so he went with the RNC and tried, you know,
Yeah.
and unfortunately it didn't ever work out for him. But I think I think the same decision. I think he went with that decision the same reason Bernie did, is that there's no way I could make headway. And I think maybe the only way is it's money, and it has to do with your connections to money.
But that's hard to get. I mean,
It is.
who gives the money? Who's going to break the system? Who's going to break the system? You see, I think Trump has that, but Trump is not going to because he has the backing of the Republicans. That means Trump had that popular power, regardless of the party.
And apparently he has some loans to pay back pretty soon.
I said, he has that power, people's power, regardless of the, he doesn't care, the Republican Party. But he does, the thing is, he does have the backing of it. So why would he break up? You know, if it was him, he would lead such a movement to go break to a third group, right? But he has the party, why should he lose the party? So, yeah, it takes a very strong movement. Grassroots. Has to. I don't know. I wonder, I would like to read in Europe, how did this happen? In Europe, they have 3, 4.
Well, no more questions or comments. Thanks for coming, or thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
This will be up on YouTube shortly, on Amer's YouTube channel. Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.